Welcome back, everybody. Cape Rugby TV, nice to have you with us. All right, let's go straight away, folks. Before we go to this, Jerome, if you're looking at the games in the City League, Southern League, and the Northern League, Metro League, what advice would you give to the clubs there? We know that Super League A, for example, is really concentrating on strategy, they're concentrating on technology, many different things there. So in the regions, when we're talking about the regions, for example, what kind of input do you give the coaches?
Look, I would say if you look at the scores in the regions, it's quite close. It's like 1.2 points, which is good, and I think they've got a mix, right? Because the guys enjoy it. Obviously, as guys that working the whole day, go to the club, relax, and enjoy it. But the coach must obviously have his plan, his weekly schedule in place for them, because they don't want to waste their time. So hopefully, when they get to the field, things are the training sessions are sort of, there's a plan and there's a time allocated to the training sessions, because those guys don't have time to waste. But it seems like they enjoy it, and like I say, the scores are quite close.
Faisal, from your side, I mean, one of the things that we have to look at here, Southern League, City League, Northern League, Metro League, Super League C, Super League B, across the clubs, your focus needs to constantly be on recruiting members, finding volunteers, keeping the club wheels turning, making sure the facilities are going well. It's a lot. It's very challenging for any club, call it manager out there.
No, definitely. You know, it's always, I wouldn't say easy, but a lot easier. You know, when a club is doing well, then we assume everything is perfect, everything is happening, and that there. So I think also when you look at the Northern City, Southern League, everything is going well with some of those teams now. Playing in their respective leagues. But it'll be interesting to see. You're now at the top of your league, and now you go into a top 9 competition, and now you have to compare. It's again back to the drawing board, because it's a whole lot of new teams that are playing. You haven't got anything sort of to measure or compare, because it's all new teams in that group. So I think from a management point, it's about understanding in terms of what your goal is. Obviously, if it's to go up, it's understanding the different levels in terms of what needs to happen. And I think the same applies in Super League A, B, and C. In terms of where you are, it's how you manage the situation. So if you're there at the bottom and you're struggling, like Jerome says, Kuilsrivier is doing well, they're quite close. But I think from a management point, it's like, you need that little boost just to have a win, and then automatically you tend to see things change. And I think, like we mentioned with Villagers, from on the field and off the field, you can see there's a little bit more of a boost and excitement in terms of focus on the league.
Yep, folks, and so while we're at it, we give a massive amount of credit to our clubs out there who are working on making sure that they look after the community, that they are recruiting players and keeping their volunteers at the club in a passionate space to help club rugby. Let's take a look now at the match between Brackenfell and NTK. There we go. That was, of course, Brackenfell and NTK. Jerome, NTK really doing well in the first half, and then Brackenfell started pushing it up a bit.
Yeah, NTK did well the first half. I'd say went into the second half. Also, the score was quite tight, but a lot of times the problem with NTK is the last 15 minutes. That's where the score starts to look ugly, because I think it's player depth, and they fit. But I think the player depth, and you can see there's a lot of new players which they've recruited well. But yeah, so they're a little bit better than last year.
Well, that was going to be and that was going to be my question to Faisal. Is a significant difference. Chalk and cheese. What NTK is showing us this year, we're starting to have a conversation again about NTK playing the same standard as many other. So it's a much better season for NTK.
No, definitely. I think, over the last couple of years, I always say, you can't be doing the same thing and expect, a different result. So I think definitely this year they've changed their approach in terms of what they're doing, the sponsor as well. So, and I'm hoping, when I looked earlier and I was looking at it, I'm thinking, oh gosh, I'll be going back to the same, because I see the NTK is, 13th on the log. So, it's always that playoff zone. So I'm hoping this year that, they're targeting goal is to get out of that playoffs. So I think, last 5 years they've been there. So I definitely think this year is going to be different.
It is different, and I don't know if the log is a fair reflection. But it's the Super League is getting tougher and tougher. Let's quickly take a look at the results in the Southern League. Watsonia 22-5 over Peninsula. Retreat went down to Titans over the weekend, 35 points to 22. And then Lagunya 26-32 loss for them against Rocklands. In the City Leagues, Violets 34-0 over Morningstar. Caledonia Roses 36-11 over Police. Silvertree went down to Elsies over the weekend, 13 points to 7. And then, of course, in the Northern League, Windmill United went down to Excelsior. It was a win for Albions over Gordons Bay Pioneers. And look out for our fixture still coming up, folks, as Stelcor show us, or at least Delft show us their result over Stelcor. So that game is coming up in the next segment, where we show you some of the highlights of the match between Delft and Stellenbosch Coronations. When we come back from the break, we'll take a look at the results in the Paarl region, as well as from the Metro League. Don't go away, back in a sec.